Well, we're very lucky to have this last acquisition of open space. As many of you now know, we now have 2 square miles of open space under preservation. And I think we have to recognize the importance of this as a regional responsibility that we have. 90% of the cost of acquiring this land, you can see below, was funded by state and federal grants. And this is something that is the property of everybody, not just the people who happen to live close to it. Hopefully we will take charge of our responsibility and preserve the Palos Verdes Nature Preserve for centuries to come for the sake of everybody, not just the few who are lucky to live immediately adjacent to it. Well, the way it has come together is gradually over time, from before I was on the council to during the time on the council and after. And a lot of it's just been opportunities that have come the city's way. Now is a particularly good time to be able to buy real estate given the current market. And we were able to buy this upper forestal area, which connects areas both to the east and the west that the city already owned. So sometimes it's just a case of being in the right place at the right time, taking advantage of the opportunities.
This is a huge day. I mean, I look at the map and I see all the properties that have been bought, joining everything, and I can't believe it actually has happened. Yes, this is a huge day.
And of course, you also are an outdoor enthusiast, so do you get out here and enjoy these trails?
Yes, I'm a runner, and this is the greatest training ground because it gives you a challenge for running, but the views are incredible and it's just gorgeous. So yes, I'm out here all the time, as much as I can be.
Take us back a little bit and give us a lesson in history, since you have been involved with the whole process. Things that you think are really relevant the community should understand about just the significance of the hard work that went into making this happen.
Well, I think, you know, first and foremost was the partnership of the city and the Conservancy, because while yes, the Conservancy had the dream, but the city, you know, came with its benefits of being able to have ability to purchase property and submit grants, and so I think that was key. But also, you know, going to the state and getting state lobbyists involved and saying, look, here's what we have a plan. You know, we're not just trying to buy property, but having a plan, going to the state, getting state lobbyists, and people started paying attention, and I think that was critical.
And speaking of that plan, do you think it's appropriate we could walk over to this map? Could you give us a run through of what we're looking at?
Sure.
So here we go. I'll give you the mic, and you can kind of explain to the community what are we seeing here when we look at this all the pieces of the puzzle here, Joel.
Sure. Yeah. Well, what we're looking at here is the preserve. So all the areas in green are properties of the preserve. However, what we want to focus on are these key properties here. We have the Forestall property that was purchased in 1996 by the city, and then this Three Sisters property was purchased in 2001. Portuguese Bend was purchased in 2005, and then just last December we purchased Upper Filiorum. So these properties here make the core of the preserve, and this is why we're so happy, because this finally makes this key connection here, and it's great.
You say the core of the preserve. Is that to mean there's more areas the city would still like to acquire, or is this is it?
No, this is it. When I say core, meaning that there are other pieces of the preserve that are kind of separate, physically detached from the core. Okay. But this is it. The preserve is complete.
I joined the Land Conservancy in '91 on their land acquisition committee, actually. Volunteer lawyer, figured I could help them out. We did acquisitions. The very first one we acquired by purchase was over in Rolling Hills Estates, a Chandler Preserve. Did that in, I think, '93. Then Ladera Linda, the Forestall property, 160 acres, Rancho Palos Verdes. I was involved. That was '96. We did that acquisition. Then right beneath us, the Barkentine property that was acquired by the city in either 2000, 2001. Of course, by then I was on the council, so I participated as a council member. We acquired that. And of course, the Hahn property, going back about 4 years. And now the final piece from Jim York's organization. So all the way from Ladera Linda, way over there on the east, till almost all the way to Hawthorne, we own it for the public. It's a great opportunity for everyone to come out and just enjoy nature.
Well, the naysayers didn't understand a number of things. One of the things I don't think they understood is that if this property had been developed, it would have been residential development. And the way government in California is structured, when you get new residential development, the cost of providing city services to it is more than what you get by way of taxes. And so therefore, odd as it may sound, open space with no tax revenue is actually cheaper for the city than residential development with tax revenue. Now that doesn't mean you can ignore the land, that doesn't mean you can neglect it, but it does mean that it's actually better for the city. And also I think the attitude of some of these people was that the land could never be developed. And the Monk's decision has made it clear that development's going to be allowed in land that even we think of as unstable. And so, you know, we were being derided, and of course, in the election back in '03 when I was first elected, everyone said they were in favor of open space, but then the anonymous mailer comes out and says, you know, trial lawyers Doug Stern and Tom Long want to spend millions of dollars of your taxpayer money to buy worthless land from an old Orange County developer. Behold the worthless land.
Clearly, it starts with a vision, but a vision that's supported by a community. In this case, the community of Rancho Palos Verdes. But it certainly wasn't only for RPV. It wasn't only for the Peninsula. It is for the state of California. Open space is very precious these days, and to preserve that and give people in the state, especially our young people, an opportunity to understand the environment, how precious it is, how we have to guard it. I mean, look out here at the ocean. You know, this is unique in all of California, and I'm just thrilled that it's in the 54th Assembly District.
Well, the challenges are constant. It's a heavily used area, and so to keep it open and accessible, and also part of the management strategy for the preserves is the Natural Communities Conservation Plan, which requires a certain amount of restoration every year and focused surveys on sensitive species. So we have to keep a mindful eye on the biology of the preserves while maximizing public use, and also the education component and just bringing people out and children out is a really important component of this really special place in Southern California.
Bill, I can't imagine what you're going through today to finally have this happen, but just explain to you how this all came together.
Well, it was one of these things where, you know, I was on the planning commission in another city, and we used to have residents come in all the time and say how much they love this open space in general in the peninsula. And so I was looking for a way to actually preserve that, and city staff there told me about something called the Trust for Public Land, and that you can actually set up these local groups. So I had a meeting at the library. We brought a lot of people together, had about 120 people show up, and 15 of those people signed a list and said they'd like to work with me on it. But nobody seemed to really want to take leadership. So my wife and I were actually walking on this trail that we're on today, and I asked her whether or not we should, you know, go forward, and she said yeah, and so we've been at it ever since. And at that time, when you look at this stuff, you know, you'd see what the future might be. You know, you'd see houses and so forth down there, and the fact that we wouldn't have these trails open to us, and these were trails that we enjoyed a lot, and we knew other people did. And so it's really satisfying today to be able to look at that and to know it's going to be that way forever.
What are your thoughts as you stand here with this open space behind you and know that this all happened thanks to the community?
I have one word: magnificent. I've been hiking this trail, the McBride Trail, for 11 years since we moved here with my little boys. I mean, they grew up hiking this trail. We live just a couple of blocks from here. And I was just going over the economics with Councilman Misitich and talking about what a terrific deal this was for the city. I mean, what the city contributed was actually just a small fraction of the overall cost. The state of California, as Mayor Pro Tem Long explained earlier in his speech, provided the majority of the money, and it is an example of good government for a change. So this is going to be in our collective families as a city and as a region for all time. And so it's just terrific to be a part of it. It's terrific to have hiked this for so many years, and now know that it'll be here for when my two little boys grow up, and they'll be bringing their kids along this trail also.